Other security settings affect your RT Web Parts experience. So for example, IIS itself has 3 different methods of security. And of course, the method you choose is going to affect how people get access to RT Web Parts. There is an anonymous security that we don't recommend, although we do support it. We don't recommend it. There is a basic IIS security. That's the security that was first implemented a long time ago, the first version of the HTTP standard 1.0. It adds a lot of security overhead because you have to use secure sockets layer type websites. You need to have a website that's enabled SSL, and also you're going to always have users prompted for a username and password. So we do, we do support it, but we don't recommend it. What we do end up recommending is the integrated Windows security, which allows for passing credentials without the username and password prompt, and it doesn't require the encryption, decryption, extra overhead that's caused by SSL, which tends to slow things down in the basic security model. You can find a little more about this, not a lot more, but a little more, if you look on the IIS security section in the RT Web Parts Administrator's Guide. We just mentioned these things and what we recommend. SharePoint itself implements security settings that give you a lot of flexibility as to who can get access to all the different things that are implemented through SharePoint, including RT Web Parts. And this is all piggybacking on top of Active Directory security, or if you're using local Windows users and groups, you can use that as well instead of Active Directory. So let me show you an example of the type of security settings you'd find within SharePoint. Here I am on a main SharePoint website. I'll just go straight to this little sub-site called Labs site. This is where I've put some of my RT Web Parts work. And from within here, I can go into Site Settings. And within Site Settings, I can start making changes to the security. So if I go in here and choose People and Groups, what you'll notice is that, first of all, under Site Permissions, you can see that there are different groups of users that can be created for SharePoint. So there is a group called Home Owners, another group called Home Members, the third one Home Visitors, and you can create your own groups as well. So I could create something called My Owners and My Members, etc. Now these particular groups can have certain permissions associated with them. As you can see, the Home Owners have full control. Members are those people who are expected to contribute to these pages, but not necessarily have the full control to be able to delete pages, etc., create new sites. And then visitors only have read access. Now those settings are not set in stone. That's something that when I created the group, I assigned that. So for example, under Home Members, you click on this, you notice what I chose is this Contribute option. So you'll find these different permissions described. If you go in, take a look at these settings, look at permission levels, this describes what all the different permissions are. Now over here on the left side, I can see the actual groups and start working with the actual groups and add members. These members would be, in this case, since we're using Active Directory, they're going to be Active Directory users. So if I go into Home Members as a group and I say I want to add a new user, I would simply say, okay, let's do a new user. I know one of our users is named Molly. This is the people picker. It'll allow you to go out and search Active Directory or the local users and find those users and assign them membership to that group. So now by giving Molly membership in that group, she gets whatever permissions are available to that group. As we saw, for Home Members, they have contribute permission. So that's a brief introduction to the world of SharePoint security. The takeaway from our point of view is that since SharePoint is the medium that we're using for delivering RT Web Parts, any security that you'd like to implement on those pages can be done through SharePoint security, and you'd have to go learn more about SharePoint security to implement those.